in concrete. We walk on concrete. We live up in the air, far from nature. So Central Park for a New Yorker is more than a backyard, it's an oasis. But all New Yorkers share Central Park, not just the good people, bad people too.
A few weeks ago on TikTok, there was this family-owned company going viral for offering weddings on former plantations and renting out the houses that enslaved African Americans were living in. Like, they renovated it and they made the whole thing a wedding scenario, and they portrayed it with a drone and made it all look so beautiful. And there is a very bitter taste to white Americans taking pride in certain locations, certain areas that are now of importance to Americans of all races, of all ethnical backgrounds whatsoever. However, there is this tone to it and this blatant ignorance as to why certain things are the way they are and why they became of importance to American society at large. And if you don't know the history about Central Park, you might be one of these people. And clearly, I was one of these people too, because it's just not common knowledge. But Americans taking pride and importance in Central Park specifically because of how beautiful it is and how much of relaxation it offers and how peaceful it looks. Meanwhile, in reality, Central Park should be a coast area. It's a coast area that should not have the importance and beautification and, that everything surrounds it has, because it was literally built on the blood of African Americans particularly. And there is so much research to that, and there is so much historical background to that. And Central Park is just one example of many. One example of the destruction of Black excellence in American history or global history to begin with. But Central Park was a flourishing Black neighborhood that gave a safe space and community to particularly African Americans. There were Irish people living there too, Irish immigrants. There were German immigrants living there. But the main population of Seneca, I hope I'm saying this right, Seneca village was African American, and they were owned. They were property owners. They were landowners there. And the whole village was brought down to create Central Park. Now, of course, you can come up with but they had to do it somehow. They had to do it somewhere. Yeah, sure. Because you packed up a city so much that there's literally no nature and no green left. So instead of for you to compromise and make it accessible for everybody and accommodate everybody, you were just like, oh, fuck African Americans. Let's just destroy their neighborhood so that everybody can benefit from it, right? But nobody considered that these people own property for the first time in generations. This had emotional, social, and historical value to them. And they were just like, but we need Central Park. And after all, it's just African Americans, right? Who gives a fuck? Let's just destroy the entire neighborhood so that we can have Central Park. And now, decades and generations later, people seem to have forgotten that Central Park was literally built on blood of African Americans. Like so many other places on American soil or on predominantly white societies globally. Like, this should not be forgotten. This should not go uncalled. You cannot praise the beauty of Central Park and forget the history behind it. You cannot just build a wedding venue and forget that this was a former slave plantation where people committed horrific crimes. People were stripped of their entire identity and heritage, and now you made it a wedding venue? People owned properties for the first time in generations. Black people owned properties and land for the first time in generations. You demolished it all and put Central Park there, and now we should just be like, go there and relax and enjoy the sun? Like you can pause to read this article here, but clearly there are countless articles to that, So it's yet again another example of how privileged as white people we are, because we can be ignorant to those things. We can't just be like, oh, I enjoy going to Central Park. Meanwhile, on the other hand, descendants of those that must have lost their homes there, they go there with a totally different feeling, with a total different emotion. And that's very, very privileged. That's a very big privilege for you to just walk through Central Park and see it as it is presently now, just a park. When in reality, African Americans might go there and they'd be like, this is here because this land was taken from my ancestors. No, absolutely not.